Welcome to Talk South Asian to Me Season 2. My name is Michelle.
My name is Anusha. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. Central and hear us react to each other's stories about mental health and growing up in different South Asian households.
And remember, this podcast is not therapy. Engage with what feels entertaining and resonates with you and leave what doesn't.
Alrighty, let's get into today. So this is our second to last episode. We made it all the way to
season.
Y.
I know. Season 2 is almost ending.
Almost wrapped up all with a pretty bow.
Yeah.
Today's Y topic, yoga, because we were running out of words. And I like yoga.
I mean, yoga is something that we talked about in Season 1 a little bit to do this topic. So.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah, we probably wrote it down because that's like a really wonderful Y word that has things to do with mental health too. So,
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, as is our tradition, I will start with a little bit of a background. What is yoga? For those of us who've been living under a rock and you just don't know. Yoga is basically the mind and body practice that is said to build strength and flexibility. So basically, people do yoga now and have done for a really long time to basically help manage pain, reduce stress, for spiritual reasons, for now more so fitness reasons. But it really is just a combination of well-being. When you think of mental, physical well-being, yoga would fall under that category, right? And there are various styles of yoga that combine basically physical postures, stretching our body into different shapes. Also breathing techniques. There are different kinds of breathing techniques, and also meditation. And then bringing it all together. All of that combined is yoga. Yoga is said, I don't know if there are records throughout the world otherwise, but I have always heard that yoga has been an ancient practice that originated in India, and its earliest mention is in the Rig Vedas, which was oh my god, put on old times, right? Now, I know that it's what I've been taught though is that the what are they called? Why am I blanking out right now? The yogis, basically the ones who learn yoga, were taught by, according to Hinduism at least, they were taught by the Adi Yoga, which is the god Shiva. That's what they say, at least the religion side of things. And then these yogis went throughout the world and then taught their teachings about yoga and how it benefits people. That's the kind of stuff we learn in our version of Sunday school. I don't know. I mean, you don't know. I don't know. This is our history version. I don't know what the world's history version of that would be.
Yeah.
But essentially, it has been a very ancient practice throughout India for a really long time. And it's been primarily more on the spiritual side of things. More and more recently in modern day, I feel like it's become more of a physical health type of thing.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of spirituality within the practice of yoga. So basically, from what I've gathered, there was a statistic that I thought was really fascinating. Yoga is now a popular form of exercise around the world. And according to a 2017 national survey, so a couple of years ago, 1 in 7 adults in the United States practice yoga in the past year.
1 in 7?
Yeah.
In the United States.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Fascinating to me how spread the practice of yoga is.
Yeah.
Now, like I was saying, right, the first mention of the word yoga supposedly appears in the Rig Veda, which is a collection of these ancient texts. And yoga comes from the Sanskrit word yuj. That's how it's spelled, Y-U-J. But I think it is supposed to be pronounced yug, but I might be wrong. It might be yuj. And basically it means union or to join. Fascinating. They've traced, because of the Rig Vedas, they basically traced yoga back to northern India over 5,000 years ago. And basically Indian monks, like I said, right, they're the ones who supposedly spread yoga to the West. And it's become more popularized in the Western countries, supposedly around 1970s.
Wow.
So it's been here for a while too.
Yeah.
So this part I actually didn't know, but this is really fascinating. Apparently, there are 6 primary branches of yoga. And each branch is supposed to represent a different focus and a different set of characteristics. So I'll tell you the branches and then I'll tell you okay, what they are. So there's Hatha Yoga, which you might have heard that one. That one's pretty popular here, at least in terms of classes. There's Raja Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. It's Jnana, but usually that's pronounced like the J is silent, so I think it's Jnana Yoga. I might be wrong, but I think I'm right because it means like knowledge. And then Tantra Yoga. So Hatha Yoga is the one that I've heard of. The other ones, I kind of heard of Bhakti Yoga, but I've never heard the other ones. Hatha Yoga is basically a physical and mental branch that aims to prime the body and mind.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Then there's Raja Yoga, which involves the meditation and the strict adherence to a series of disciplinary steps known as the 8 limbs of yoga. That felt like a deep dive. I'm not even going to go into the limbs of yoga. Maybe another episode.
Yeah.
Then there was Karma Yoga, which is said to be like a path of service that's aim is to create a future free from negativity and selfishness.
Okay.
Then there's Bhakti Yoga. This aims to establish the path of devotion. Bhakti means devotion in a positive way to channel emotions and cultivate acceptance and tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Jnana Yoga. Like I said, Jnana, as far as I know, means knowledge. And this is talking about how the branch of yoga is about wisdom, the path of a scholar, and developing the intellect through study. And then Tantra Yoga, which is a pathway of ritual, ceremony, or consummation of a relationship. Okay. Very interesting, right? I had no idea that it was broken down like this. I'm still not entirely clear what and how these are exactly categorized like this, but I thought it was interesting.
What was the source you got this from? I'm interested.
This was from Medical News Today. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I feel like they're onto something. They're clearly research-based.
Yeah.
But overall, the philosophy of yoga, too, I think is about like 3 things, right? It's about connecting your mind, your body, and your spirit. It's very holistic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, within these 6 branches, I've never really truly heard these other than Hatha Yoga, but there are all these different types of yogas that are talked about that I'm going to go over, just like listing a couple. These are the ones I'm sure you've heard of. Actually, I'm curious. So as I'm going through this, like raise your hand if you've heard of it, because I'm curious.
Yeah.
There's Ashtanga Yoga. This type of yoga practices like ancient yogic teachings. Like this is like the OG version, is what I understood it to be.
Okay.
I haven't heard of it either. Then there's Bikram Yoga. You've probably heard of Bikram Yoga.
Yeah.
It's commonly known as, do you know what it's known as? Hot yoga.
I've done hot yoga.
Yeah. So apparently that's Bikram Yoga, the official term. And this one, for anybody who doesn't know, like this is where the room is artificially heated to like really, really high temperatures of like 105 degrees Fahrenheit, 40% humidity. And then you go through like a series of breathing exercises and like 20 plus poses. It's intense.
Yeah. You make sure you drink lots of water before you go in.
Oh my God. The first time I did it, I thought I was going to faint.
Me too.
It was fun though.
I liked it. You feel really good afterwards.
Yeah, and I feel like the heat really helps you to be a little bit more like deeper into your poses too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I felt that way at least.
I think it also like helps you sweat out more, like sweat more. So like your toxins.
Definitely. You can just breathe in that room and like sweat. Okay, and then there's also Hatha Yoga. Have you heard of this one?
No.
Not really. This is I have heard of Hatha Yoga, but this is basically just like a generic term. And it's a term for any type of yoga that teaches like poses. Because like we talked about, yoga isn't just about like physically the kind of poses you can do. Like there's a meditation side of it, breathing side of it. Yeah. So it's more than just the poses that we're really more introduced to here in Western culture. Western classes, I should say, not culture. Then there's Iyengar Yoga, which is more about like correct alignment. These are the ones that use a lot of like props, you know, like the blocks and straps and those kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it, but I've never heard it referred to as that. I feel like here when they do classes, they kind of just like combine all the yogas together.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, this is
yoga count under that? Because you know what I'm talking about? Where they like hang.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I've done that one. It's really cool.
Like bolsters what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, totally. Yeah. You've done that?
Aerial yoga, yeah. It's
yeah, what was that like?
It was really cool. Like it's like that piece of cloth that hangs from the ceiling and you like my favorite one was where you just like cuddle up in a ball. Like if there was a pose and you just like cover yourself completely with the cloth because it becomes wide.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like
Wow.
you do flips and stuff. It's really cool.
Was that hard?
No, because
You
they
felt like it
teach you.
was.
I went to a beginner level and you like grab
Yeah.
and they like teach you how to like maneuver.
Wow.
It's pretty
That
cool.
sounds
I've only
amazing.
done it once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Take me with you next time when we meet
Yes.
up. I want to go, but
Yeah,
I don't want
let's
to go
do it.
alone. Take me
Yeah,
with you.
we can. We can go.
That sounds exciting. If we actually do, we can post that in our stories.
There you go. We can. Flying in the air.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating. But it also
So
like
fun.
my brain can't wrap my head around like how that would even look because I've never done
Yeah.
anything remotely like that. It's interesting
Yeah.
though. Okay, let's see. There's also Kripalu yoga. Never heard of this. This is more for practitioners to know and accept and listen to intuitively their own bodies. So this one
Mm-hmm.
nobody like really truly guides you. It's more about internally you going through the motions yourself. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
basically teaching you more and more about your intuition, I suppose. Then there's Kundalini yoga. This one, my white therapist supervisor introduced me to, funnily enough. And it
Okay.
drove me crazy because the entire time she was talking us through this, she would mispronounce everything and it would literally drive me crazy. I tried to
Uh-huh.
correct her once because I was like, I literally cannot take this anymore. And she
Yeah.
was like, oh, yeah, okay. Well, I mean, when as white, I think she said something like, when us like white people do it, like we're going to do a little bit differently. And I'm like, very dismissive, but okay. I'm not going to say anything else. I know. Whatever. Anyways, Kundalini yoga, very fascinating because this one is actually meditation based and it's all
Mm-hmm.
about it's all about releasing pent up energy. And this isn't from the research, but this is actually what she said. And I did research it. It is true. It's kind of said that, the word that I don't like, I'm not going to say it out loud. You have to read my mind, Michelle. The word that I
Okay.
don't like, that reptile, the S word.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know what you're
People
talking about.
know what they're saying. So that apparently is a part of Kundalini yoga because they say like there's that S word crouched at the bottom of your chakra, like at the hip chakra, I think. And when you do it, you're supposed to like go through the chakras. It involves chakras, I'm pretty sure. And so it kind of activates that gross S reptile word.
Interesting.
But from what the medical news said, it was more about aiming to release pent up energy. So I'm sure those
Mm.
are intertwined, but there you go.
Yeah.
Something interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, that is.
Yeah. And this one is a very meditation oriented. There's no poses. It's meditation oriented,
Okay.
breathing oriented.
Okay.
Then there's like power yoga, which was
Mm.
created actually late 1980s for specifically like fitness folk who wanted
Yeah,
like
I've heard of that.
more active
Mm-hmm.
type. Yeah. Then there is the Sivananda, which is more about, again, like a philosophy as its foundation, but they do
Mm-hmm.
incorporate like a whole, because it's philosophy, like a whole lifestyle oriented stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
Sivananda is all about, breathing, relaxation, diet, exercise, positive thinking, all of that working together to create a healthy lifestyle. So it's literally a way of life.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you ever know that like that yoga was more than just literally the poses, that it really had this whole umbrella of
I
things?
kind of knew a little bit because it's like Ayurvedic practice is related, like
Yeah.
yoga.
Yeah.
But I would say like early on when I was first introduced to yoga, like I like was like physical thing. It's just poses and exercise and
Yeah.
breathing.
Same. Like I knew that there was more to yoga than just the poses, like the breathing component, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize like it also incorporated a whole philosophy,
Yeah,
a way of life.
a way of life.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a really genuinely like yoga is like an umbrella term for all
Holistic.
things.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're almost to the end here. There's also Vini yoga. Vini yoga is all about focusing on like form over function, like breathing and adapting and
Mm-hmm.
repetition and holding, all that kind of focus is Vini yoga.
Mm.
Then there's yin yoga. Have you ever done yin yoga?
No, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, I've actually tried yin
Yeah.
yoga once. It was
Okay.
really, really fun and really, really hard.
Oh.
Yin yoga is all about focusing on holding passive poses for a long period of time. That's what made it hard. Yeah.
That is
But as you
definitely
do it
hard.
though, it was really hard. But as you do it though, you find yourself kind of sinking in and like slowing down and getting really present because you're forced to regulate your breathing and all of that. So I found it really fun actually. Eventually.
Mm.
Eventually. This type of yoga is actually like, it's really cool. So this type of yoga in particular, it's great for targeting like deep tissues, ligaments, joints, bones, fascia, that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Then there is prenatal yoga. Can you guess what that is?
Mm-hmm. During pregnancy.
Yep. Yep. So this yoga is to help people to kind of help regulate themselves and to
Yeah.
support the pregnancy and like, kind of you get back pains and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's prenatal yoga is literally for pregnant people and also like post pregnancy, like right after, um, to kind of facilitate that process, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, there's restorative yoga. So as it sounds, this is literally all about relaxing with yoga. So there's usually like 4 or 5 simple poses, and then you use props for all of them. So
Mm.
it's about not creating any kind of strain and to just like really do this like low impact, super low exertion, very like relaxing. Cool, right?
Restorative. Yeah. I
Yeah.
like that. I need that.
Same. That's the kind of yoga I want to do.
Yeah.
Relaxing.
Same.
And then I read a John Hopkins medicine article actually. And this one
Okay.
I wanted to go to something like hospital based sort of to talk
Yeah.
about the benefits. So here are the benefits that the Johns Hopkins medicine article talked about.
Okay.
Yoga is really great for improving strength, balance, and flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
It's great for back pain relief. So people typically say that, at least the article says that people say yoga is a first line treatment for chronic low back pain.
Oh wow. I did not know that.
Me
That's
neither.
good.
I have chronic low back pain. I feel like I should do it. I should be
Yeah.
more consistent. Yoga can also ease arthritis symptoms. That was a surprise.
That is a surprise for me too, but it kind of makes sense. If it
Yeah.
helps you build strength and flexibility, then it would help with that
And it's great for inflammation. So it makes sense
too.
that it'd be
Mm-hmm.
good for arthritis. But at first, like when you think about it, like when I think about it at least, I think about the kind of pressure you put on your hands when you do certain poses. And
Yeah.
I'm like, how? Wouldn't it make it worse? But no. I guess
Yeah.
consistently, if you do it, it's helpful.
Probably releases that inflammation or
Yeah,
swelling.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously there's like heart benefits, heart health, because again, like I said, like you doing yoga consistently reduces your overall like body-wide inflammation, which is helpful for your heart health.
Yeah.
Yeah. It also is very relaxing, so it helps you sleep better. It also helps you kind of like stimulate all of your muscles in your body, right? So it helps you
Mm-hmm.
feel like you have more energy, which means you'll probably feel like you're in brighter, happier moods more of the time
Yeah.
than not. And along the same line of thought, it also helps you manage your stress. So
Mm-hmm.
stress management,
Makes
mental health,
sense.
mindfulness. It can even spill over into like mindful eating, sometimes even like low impact weight loss, quality of sleep, all of those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so it sounds like a real win-win-win on all accounts.
Yeah. No, it does sound like I mean, I enjoy it very much.
Yeah. Yeah. When I do it, it's so fun. I just don't keep up
Mm-hmm.
with it.
Yeah.
And that's
It's different.
the piece, right? Life gets in the way. Don't prioritize it. But that's that piece that's really important to see these benefits that they're talking about is consistency. If you can keep it consistent, then you get these benefits. But if you're like on and off, like
Mm-hmm.
probably you and I, and probably a lot of people, you might not see those benefits
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, what it didn't, the Johns Hopkins article didn't talk about, but I got from the Healthline article is also more on like the mental health side of things. More specifically,
Mm-hmm.
helps you reduce your anxiety, and it can help manage like depressive symptoms as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Nice.
this isn't mental health related, but also it's great for better posture. Apparently,
That sounds about right.
yeah,
I
I
usually
need
do
that.
that for my posture.
I know. Yeah, we both are sitting up straighter now. Like that's a
Yeah, we
reminder.
are.
And lastly, on the mental health side, it helps with burnout too,
Mm-hmm.
right? A big part of burnout is when your life feels completely out of whack, completely out of balance. And so
Mm-hmm.
yoga helps kind of reincorporate that balance,
Yeah.
reincorporates the slowness, being in the present,
Yeah.
right? Being able to do self-care. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay, now for our favorite part, South Asian incorporation. Are you ready for this?
Ooh. Yes, I'm ready.
I'm really excited to talk about this one because we've actually been talking about it for a little while and like dropping little
Yeah.
hints here and there, but we're finally going to talk about it. So the South Asian oriented part of today, I'm going to focus on one specific article.
Okay.
This article was titled "White Women Co-opted Pandemic Yoga: Now South Asian instructors are taking it back." And this was done
Mm-hmm.
from NBC News, and the author was Sakshi Venkadrama. So this author, Sashi, quotes someone else, and this is the person, what they have to say. I'm going to like literally just give you exactly the thing as it is. I am not going to summarize because I loved the way that it was said. So here we go. I'm going to actually go over like a little bit about her like story, but then I'm also going to do, there's a part of the article that talks about, I see it more as like, ooh, gossip, but there's a very relevant piece to it that's very culturally relevant, Western culturally relevant, that I want to get into. But fair warning, it's a little bit spicy. Brace yourself.
I'm ready.
Okay. So for the top part, Melissa Shaw is an Indian person, by the way, just to give you context to what she's saying here. For Melissa Shaw, yoga has always been entirely Indian. Her first memories of the practice doesn't include top buns, athleisure wear, or even exercise. Instead, the 33-year-old recalls trying to manage her childhood asthma, coughing, and wheezing through deep breathing exercises. For South Asians, yoga isn't about image or aspiration. It's simply an everyday physical and mental health routine. Just insert here for some South Asians. For South Asian Americans like myself, who was very removed from that, didn't grow up with it, it is a little bit more of a physical health thing, but perhaps not for those who've actually grown up with it. Shaw said that she felt a sense of belonging in learning unfiltered yoga among other South Asians in Queens, New York, where she grew up. But when she started visiting white-dominated studios outside of her community, she says she felt excluded and uneasy, like she was participating in a foreign practice. So she got her instructor's license and she started building her own community to take it back. There's this direct quote. She says, there's this idea that the West is rational and the East is mystical. And then it casts practices and traditions like yoga and Ayurveda as elixirs for the ills of the West, but in a commodified form that often erases its religious origins. That's a good quote.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, totally. And I do feel like that's very true, especially, with like Ayurveda, for example. It is kind of seen as like, oh, that's just this fancy thing. And it's like literally the idea of mysticism, like elixirs, that's exactly how it feels sometimes to talk about Ayurveda here in this country as someone who isn't used to hearing about Ayurveda or using Ayurveda, definitely. And then the last quote that I want to talk about before I go into this potentially spicy take is how many associates that start yoga in the US. No, let me start over. I said that wrong. While many associate the start of yoga in the US with the hippie movement in the 1960s, it was actually introduced much earlier. Actress Greta Garbo and her contemporaries learned yoga from a Russian instructor, Eugene Peterson, who traveled to India in her 20s and changed her name to Indra Devi and brought yoga to Hollywood in 1940. Whoa, that's so cool. Yeah.
What?
I know.
Wow. Okay.
Isn't that fascinating?
That is fascinating. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, I love that. So it's been around for quite some time.
Yeah.
Here.
Long time. Longer than I expected. And then Hollywood too. Like what?
Yeah. Straight to Hollywood, exactly.
Yeah.
And she changed her name too.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So the rest of the article that I'm pulling from is kind of like a piece on like appropriation, essentially. That's what I want to talk about.
Okay.
I'm going to preface this with, if the person we're talking about listens to this, we mean no harm. But this is what the article said, so here we go.
Okay.
In 2018, actress Gwyneth Paltrow faced backlash after she tried to take credit for the popularization of yoga, saying in an interview, "I went to do a yoga class in LA recently, and the 22-year-old behind the counter was like, 'Have you ever done yoga before?' And literally, I turned to my friend and I was like, 'You have this job because I've done yoga before.'" Yikes. I know. Yikes. I don't know.
Even if it's a joke, like still.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. Exactly. That's what I was saying.
There's
Like,
a lot
I
of
don't
deeper
know what
meaning
the
behind
context
that.
is, but that's still a little bit dicey to say it's a joke. I don't love that. And to assume like it exists because of you, who didn't invent yoga. Okay. Okay. So
Also,
basically,
like, what is that person behind the counter feeling, or how do they respond?
I mean, what's the appropriate response to that, other than like confusion, like, eh?
Or like,
But then
laugh it
again,
off.
she's an actress, so maybe if she knew that she was an actress, maybe she was like, okay, like, Actress be actressing. I don't know.
Yeah.
The article goes on to say that Paltrow, who's, she has a lifestyle brand, Goop, right?
Hmm.
Um, Paltrow, whose lifestyle brand, Goop, has also been criticized for cultural appropriation and pseudoscience, and is one of the key offenders when it comes to fetishizing and marketing Eastern traditions to a white upper crust audience, right? And as an example, they talk about how included in the Goop's product line are a $1,000 yoga mat.
What?
$1,000.
$1,000 for a yoga mat?
Like,
What?
what?
That's mind blowing.
That's mind blowing, honestly.
No, it cannot. That cannot be true.
Mm.
Nobody's paying $1,000 for a yoga mat. What? Like you can get it from
Apparently,
for like
white upper
five, $10.
crust audiences of hers. I know, I wouldn't even pay more than like $25. And even at 25, I'm
Yeah,
like, do I really need it?
yeah.
And then, of course, what we love to talk about, turmeric latte powder.
Golden milk.
Golden milk. I can't even. Makes me so mad. And then just generally Ayurvedic herbs that are marketed under the label Organic India and an ashwagandha energy body wash. By partaking in these practices but erasing their original identity, and by saying that these practices are something else, that's an act of cultural colonialism. See, that was a really powerful
term before.
Yeah. See, that's why I didn't want to summarize this. Like, that was impactful right there.
It is impactful.
They did try, the article, the NBC News did try to reach out for Goop, but they didn't respond to the request for comment.
No comment.
Yeah. So that's that. That's what I wanted to share, basically talking a little bit about how what we know yoga to be here isn't necessarily what yoga is for most people who have been practicing it for a really, really, really long time. The way that it maybe was created. Right. And also just kind of talking a little bit on appropriation. I feel like we literally can't get into the topic of yoga without getting into appropriation because of examples like this, how it's been co-opted by people who maybe don't really know the cultural context nor the history behind what yoga truly is beyond as a option for fitness. Well, that's it. That's my story. That's my research.
I think you bring up a really good point. I feel like this could be like a deep dive in a whole other episode, like cultural appropriation.
That could be the whole thing. Oh yeah.
Yeah, its own episode. I think the message that we're like that, at least me, I'm feeling and like trying to make across is that it's not that we can't share, like, South Asian practices cannot be shared. It's just like use the practices correctly, inform yourself, educate yourself, be curious, and then use it appropriately. Right? Like, even something simple as like when people say chai tea, and I'm like, you're saying tea, or naan bread, you're saying bread.
Yeah.
Like I know like there's other South Asian like figures nowadays. Like I know Hassan Minaj like does jokes on this too. Like so many people are making it's more prevalent, but people still say it. Like I still hear it. Like it's just about being informed correctly. That's what it is. It's not like, oh, you're stealing. No, like, everything is open and
can be shared.
Totally. Yeah. But it needs to be in the correct way.
And you don't want to tout yourself as an expert on something. You really only scratch the surface.
Give credit. I need to give credit where it's due.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let me talk really quickly about my story, my reflection.
Okay.
I don't know if this is going to surprise you. You're going to be like, oh yeah, I totally knew that. But I actually was really, truly first exposed to yoga for the first time in college.
Me too. I'm going to
really?
get into that story. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I basically did.
We were living under a rock in school, in high school.
Yeah, until we got to that point.
Yeah.
I did an elective in college, and that's why I did yoga. It was awesome though. Like I loved it.
It was a class?
Yeah, it was a whole elective on yoga.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So I loved it. It was my first experience. I thought it was really, really fun. It was really obviously like physically difficult at first because I was not very I mean, it's just new, right? I never did something like that. So it was very new and it was a struggle. But then I discovered that because it was also a struggle, like it allowed me to be so much more physically present.
Yeah.
than I would have been in general at that time. Like I was constantly like a 20,000 thoughts in my head at once kind of a person back
Hmm.
then. But this helped me really just focus like that 1 hour. I actually really looked forward to it because I could just like unplug. And in my hard moments of trying to, be able to do the poses and embody them, I was able to really be present. So I loved that. It was awesome.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
so good. So did you do it for a whole semester, like elective? It was
Yeah.
a semester long class.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was so fun. I loved it.
That's a lot of like consistency. Did you feel a difference at the end of the semester?
That's a good question. It was so long ago, but what I do remember is that it felt calming. It felt grounding while I was doing it. As far as other effects, I couldn't tell you because I was also going through like, I couldn't even tell you what year was this even. I have no idea. I think it was one of the
Mm,
first years because it was
okay.
after that I got into, all the health stuff. So this must have been
Hmm.
my first year of college. Yeah.
Mm, wow.
Well, I was also at my mentally and physically healthiest my first year. So it makes sense. It all makes sense now. The only thing that drove me crazy though was like I said earlier, right? Like when the coaches, the gurus, whatever they want to call themselves, when they pronounce the things wrong, it literally like drives me crazy because
Mm,
I can't be present
yeah,
because in my head I'm thinking, that's not how you say it.
yeah.
I
I
can't
mean,
stop
that's
that.
fair. That's fair.
Crazy. And I don't know,
Hmm.
like again, like if you're gonna teach something to people, you probably want to know how to say the thing that you're teaching and
Right,
like really
right.
know what you're teaching, right? Even
And
if it
there
is,
are people out there that like do make an effort, right?
yeah.
Like they
I've definitely
do.
had non South Asian yogis
Individuals.
or yoga
Yeah,
instructors who have definitely learned how to say
yeah,
that properly.
yes. And thank you and props to those people.
Yeah. But that's rare. That's the problem.
Yeah.
As far as like yoga itself, I just want to talk a little bit about what I've actually tried. I've did yin yoga, like I said, which
Hmm.
is holding the poses for a really long time. And that was really hard, but really, really fun after you got into it. And then really tiring again really quickly. Because you do it enough and you're like, oh my God, I'm so beat today.
Yeah.
Hatha yoga, which is like anything that does poses. So definitely did hatha
Hmm.
yoga. And then hot yoga, which was Bikram yoga. That was so fun. And it would feel really, like oddly, it would feel very cleansing, but it was probably just dehydration, to be honest. What I want to try is what you said, aerial yoga, though. That sounds interesting.
Really good.
Now, I don't have, obviously, I've never really truly done this consistently, other than apparently that one semester at Baylor that I don't remember, but I haven't done it consistently ever since then. I've always just
Yeah.
kind of done it here and there. I've taken a class here and there. I've done it at home, just for fun here and there, maybe a week or two at a time. So I haven't really seen the benefits, but I want to talk
Mm.
about like two personal stories or examples, I should say, about people who have done it consistently for months. Like I think they've done it
Mm.
for at least 1.5 to 2 years, every
Wow,
day.
it's a long time. Every
Every
day?
day. Yeah,
Wow.
every day. Because again, remember, this isn't about.
Commitment.
Well, but that's the thing, right? For them, this wasn't like a
It's a way
fitness.
of life.
It was a
Yeah.
way of life, exactly. So for
Yeah.
them, when they did it for like 1.5 to 2 years, about one of the people that I'm talking about, she's had like irregular periods and stuff like that. So as she was doing this consistently, she normalized and like regulated her cycles.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's amazing. Because I
Powerful.
always struggled with it for years and years and years.
Yeah.
But being
Yeah.
able to do yoga has helped her regulate herself. And I think it also
Mm.
helped with fertility because she'd get pregnant. I don't know if she would have
Wow.
had issues before, but as a fun bonus, I suppose. And the other person, they were able to reduce their, I think it was their blood pressure. They
Mm,
normalized
that
their
makes
blood
sense.
pressure.
Yeah.
How cool is that? That's
That is
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did try so the person that I was saying who she regulated her hormones, her cycles, I tried doing the instructor that she like the company is based in India, and I tried doing a virtual class with them. It whipped my ass. Like
Mm.
they are like expert level, and as a beginner, they did not go easy on
Wow.
me at all. They kept pushing me and
Wow.
pushing me virtually, and so literally for 3 days, I kid you not, for 3 full days, I felt like I got hit by like a bus.
Oh no.
I was out.
This is yin yoga?
No, I think that would have been considered. I don't know. I don't know what it would
Mm.
have been considered, but
Okay.
it was grueling.
Wow.
It was so hard. I immediately quit after that first day, and I was like, "This is not for me." I don't know how you did it every day, but no, this is not for me. Mm.
Every day.
I like restorative yoga. No, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. So that's my experience with yoga.
Okay. Thanks.
What's
I
yours?
like it's so funny how we have been introduced and tried yoga for the first time, like at the same.
Mm.
Mine was like first year of college too. But I had
Mm.
no idea that you took a class for it, which is so cool, like an elective. I love that you chose that
Yeah.
and
I
out
was
of
so
all the
interested.
electives you could choose from. Yeah,
I think I had to choose an athletics one, so I was like, heck no, I'm gonna do yoga. Seems it's
yeah,
indoors, seems easier.
yeah. And you did it.
Yeah.
And that's so awesome. And, you know, for me to go into like a little bit about, thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate that.
You're
Learned
welcome.
something new. And now we have another commonality of like learning about yoga together. I guess we were in our first year of college together too at the same time. I was just an hour and a half away from you.
Wait, I know.
Yeah.
So far, but so close.
So I would say I haven't been doing yoga consistently. It's not my go-to fitness routine, but I do like to sprinkle it in. And honestly, like before, it was more of just like how it made me feel. Like I like the restorative part. Like I do a lot of like HIIT and cardio, so like it would be nice to like create balance of like doing yoga, like calm down, slow it down. But like I think it's just really good for my mental health too. I feel like. So I just feel very, I remember like every time I do yoga, like I'm looking forward to it. I'm supposed to do it today, later today. So I'm really excited.
Mm.
But I just come out of it like re-energized, relaxed. I think my favorite part of yoga is actually meditation, where you kind of like just
Mm.
sit and disconnect,
Me too.
especially with a brain like mine that is constantly running and like doesn't stop. So it's like you said, like it's nice to just be present there and like
Mm.
dissociate and relax.
Love it.
I remember the first time I attended a yoga class, which was also in freshman in college, and my roommate at the time, she like was introduced to yoga earlier, like while she was in high school. And
Mm.
so she talked to me about it and she was like, "Hey, like UT's doing free sessions, free yoga sessions. Like, let's go." And I was like,
Mm.
"Sure, why not? Let me try this." To be honest, I'm trying to think back to that time and I was just like, "What is this?" Like I didn't really like
Yeah.
think of anything of it because I did not grow up with it. Like, with my background, like the family background, and I didn't know much of the history. Meditation was a big part of our religion, but like not like the yoga practice.
Mm.
Like, I know yoga is a way of life and like meditation is part of our way of life too. But again, like the physical aspect, the mental health
Mm.
aspect, like I wasn't really aware of that. Like, I would hear it, people would tell me about it. I think I might have done like a fun yoga class, like in elementary school or something,
Yeah.
but I didn't really think of anything of it. Like I think this was the first time like intentionally going into a yoga class. I remember like sitting there and I was like, to be 100% honest, like I was not taking it seriously. I was just like, what is this? Like, how is this supposed to help me? But I remember like the instructor at that time, he was a white male and he kind of gave us his background before we started class. He was like, he's a certified yoga instructor. He went to India to learn. I don't remember the many details, but like he did say like he went to school for this and he went to India and learned like different aspects. And I do remember him like just having like a really like soothing voice.
Mm.
And I think that like started, I was like, okay, like once he told us like his background, I was like, hey, let's give this a shot. So I, it started out with just like the deep breathing exercises to like relax. And then we got into some poses. I think the type of yoga was like the posing type of yoga. What did you say? Which one that was?
Hatha yoga.
Hatha?
Yeah. HATHA. Hatha yoga.
Hatha. Yeah, I think it was hatha yoga. I was at first, it was like some of the poses were difficult, but this instructor was like, it was beginner level yoga, so he was giving us like modified positions, poses, and that was helpful. And I remember at the end, we all like laid down and just did like some meditation.
Oh,
And I
that's
like
my
really
favorite part.
enjoy it. Yeah, I really enjoy. And there's a word for it.
Savasana.
What is it?
Savasana.
Shavasana. Yeah.
So I
Yes.
think I could be really, really off base here, but I think the origins of asana means pose, the posture, right? The
Yeah.
savasana, the sava part, I think it's related to like seva, which I think may or may not be like dead body pose. So
Interesting.
like a corpse pose, I think is what they call
Yeah.
it, because I think that's what it means, seva. So that's literally what they have you do,
Mm.
right? Is like they literally have you like be dead and then breathe. I love that part. Best
Yeah,
part.
me too. It's my favorite part too.
Yeah.
So I remember laying there and I was like, wow, like my brain was like trying to think of like what I'm supposed to do when I leave, what I'm supposed to eat for dinner. And I was like, and then like it was so funny. Like the instructor knew, like some people would be like, they'd be like, let the thought, like, you know what they say, like let the thoughts like run through your mind. Don't try to stop them.
Yeah.
Focus on your breathing, right? Like all of that. And I was like, okay, this is nice. And I started enjoying it. And this was like it was happening every Thursday
Mm.
at our campus. And so this actually started mine and my roommate's roomie night. Like we would go do yoga and then we would go eat afterwards,
Mm.
which was so fun. And it was just like a very fun memory that I have from college because we would just enjoy like quality time with each other. So like at the end of each class, like he would like the instructors like usually say like in the beginning and end they say namaste, right? They say namaste. And I understand my pronunciation's different, but I remember when I first heard it, it was my first time hearing a white male say it. And
Yeah.
definitely he said something like namaste or something. And I was like taken aback for a second. I was like, oh wow, like I've never heard a white male say this word.
Mhm.
Like it was, I mean, not to say that he wasn't credited, like he went to India to learn, he's a certified yoga instructor. And he did, I do remember him mentioning like he had a yogi to be his instructor. And so, not to discredit, him, but it was just like very, just being a South
Charming.
Asian. Again, it was jarring. It was just like, wow. And then the more I would hear it, I guess the more normal it became. But again,
Mhm.
it was like interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So that's kind of like my beginning experience with yoga. And then I think I just kept on going every Thursday. And then if there would be like a free class, I remember when I was living in Fort Worth, when I was a teacher, there would be free classes in the summer, like on the plaza and Sundance Square. My roommate and I at that time would go a lot. I tried hot yoga for the first time as well at that time in my life, and it was brutal, but it was so good. I loved it. Then I also tried aerial yoga as well. Lots of different things, and I think I want to continue incorporating it, but it would be
Mhm.
interesting to try like other forms of yoga other than like Bikram yoga, the hot yoga, like other forms of yoga now that I did not that I learned about today.
Mhm.
Funny story though, real fast. Um, there was like a flight that I had that I was traveling alone. It was coming back from LaGuardia to Houston. I was coming back from a friend's bachelorette trip, and this guy next to me also like was living in Houston. And our flight got delayed. Like we were on the tarmac for a while, and then on the way we had to take a detour because Louisiana had some storms, and then we ran out of fuel, so we landed in Tennessee to refuel. Like it was just a lot. Like the 4 hour flight turned into like a 6 hour flight. Like we were in there. So like the guy next to me, originally from India, like he was started talking to me about meditation and yoga and like the spirituality of it. Like I learned so much from him. Like he educated me about the chakras and like the spirituality behind like the relation connection between chakras and yoga. And I was so fascinated. And I was so intrigued. I was tired at that time, so I don't have like the best memory of exactly what he taught me, but I do remember thinking like this is so fascinating. And I remember him telling me like you and your husband should come see me and my wife at the classes that we attend in Houston. And I'm like, oh, that'd be great, but like I was tired and I was like, but it was it was a really cool perspective to get, like the religious side. And so,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of belief behind the power of yoga in the Hindu religion, I'm sure. I know you touched on it a little bit. Um,
Religiously, culturally, scientifically,
hmm
so much.
There's a
Yeah.
lot to it. Yeah, and meditation.
Mm.
So that's my little experience with yoga. I love it. Did on my batch trip, I did yoga for one of my activities.
I saw
That was
that's right.
really fun. Yeah, we did it on the rooftop. That was good. It was relaxing. I like the baby pose. What is it called? Like the
Yeah.
rocking. See what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? Maybe I'm saying the wrong thing,
A happy baby.
but happy baby. Yeah,
Yeah. I love
yeah,
that post too. It literally makes
hmm
you feel happy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well, next time we do yoga and we're together, if I come to you,
Aerial yoga.
aerial yoga. If you come to
We
me,
should
I'll
we
be
should
getting
try
you.
it. Yeah, we should try it. It'll be good.
I want to. It sounds fun,
Hmm.
but I feel like I'd be too scared to do it by myself. So I need
We'll
the
do it
emotional
together.
support from a wise, experienced you.
Oh, not that experience,
More
but
than
yes,
me.
we'll
I'll
go
take it.
together. We'll go together. It'll be fun.
Yes.
Okay, shall I see us out?
Yeah, this was a fun topic. Let's
Yes, it
wrap it up.
was. Yes, thank you to our wonderful listeners. I know our topic was a little bit lighter today than other topics, which was another change of pace, which was nice, always. Some changes nice. If
Mhm.
you are a yogi or a yoga instructor, or if you have experience with yoga and you would like to share with us your thoughts, we would love to hear from you. You can reach us in our email, which is talksouthasiontome@gmail.com, or on social media. Our handle is at talksouthasiontome. All right, see you next time in our last episode of the season 2. Bye.